So as you know, today I am releasing First Data's independent review of our health insurance exchange. I called for this third-party review in early December, and we finalized the contract with First Data on January 7th. I called for this review for a number of reasons. First, a public website that allows Oregonians to compare plans and purchase health insurance coverage is an important part of my broader commitment to improve the health of Oregonians by expanding access to quality and affordable health care. I am angry and I am disappointed by the rollout of Cover Oregon and the ongoing technical problems that have created delays, uncertainty, confusion, and frustration among Oregonians who need and deserve health care. At the same time, I have refused to allow these problems to become obstacles to our larger objective of enrolling Oregonians in affordable health plans. Second, Oregonians deserve accountability and oversight for their public investments, including those investments in technology. And I wanted a clear picture of the technical issues involved, the management issues involved, scope, and other problems that led to the problems we've had at Cover Oregon. It is critical, and I wanted to make sure that we had a clear assessment of what went wrong. And third, and of equal importance, it is important that we learn from this project and that we take whatever steps are necessary to improve project management and to safeguard public investments, particularly in the area of technology. I have reviewed the First Data report and its findings. I appreciate its thoroughness. I appreciate its report. I appreciate all of those who contributed to this, those who granted interviews, and everyone else. The report offers a very credible and sobering critique, and it's very clear that this project suffered from two critical areas. First was a fundamental breakdown in effective management, including an overly ambitious project scope and no effective scope management strategy, no single point of authority or accountability, no system integrator, no common functional project management or governance structure, the use of time and materials contracts versus fixed price contracts. These things, along with mistrust and tension between the administrators of the Oregon Health Authority and Cover Oregon, increased the likelihood that this project would not, in fact, be launched on time. The report also highlights how key project managers over time became desensitized to the quality assurance reports that showed that the project was not on track. And this contributed to the prevent of accurate information flowing up to the Cover Oregon Board, to the legislature, and to the governor's office. In addition, this report shows unrealistically high sense of optimism by key leaders that Oracle could in fact deliver when critical measures indicated that that would not be possible. Beyond the scope of the First Data report remain some very serious questions about the quality of work of our primary website developer, Oracle. We have seen that painfully for ourselves, and our observations were confirmed by the recent report from CMS. The key findings include a highlight of Oracle's inability to properly estimate the amount of work necessary to complete the project, repeatedly missed deadlines, incomplete work, and the inability to adhere to industry standards. Obviously, we are not satisfied with the quality of work we got from Oracle. We are not satisfied that we have had to use a hybrid process to accomplish what a fully functioning public website would have been able to do. And we have no intention of paying $26 million for work that has still not delivered a fully functional website with the reliability and the performance to meet our needs. We have also retained all of our rights to pursue legal action or to recover payments made to Oracle if that becomes clear that it's in the best public interest. In addition to the breakdown of effective management and the problems we have experienced with Oracle, the First Data report highlighted two other areas of concern about which I want more information. The first area deals with the communication of risk status and can be found on pages 28 and 29 of the report. In the spring of 2013, Maximus Quality Assurance status ratings for the project did not match Cover Oregon status ratings, either internally or externally. So, for example, when internal status was being reported as high risk, the external status reports to CMS showed a lower level of risk. and I will address that concern in a moment when I talk about my action steps. The second area deals with the question of procurement and the unusually high number of purchase orders that were issued, which seem to violate best practices without a clear explanation or without a rationale. I have asked Mike Jordan and the Department of Administrative Services to review the procurement policies of both Cover Oregon and the Oregon Health Authority, and I have directed the Oregon Health Authority to comply with all existing policies at DAS about procurement. Now, when it became clear of the magnitude of the issues at Cover Oregon in late October 2013, I took steps to ensure that we still had the capacity to enroll Oregonians through the open enrollment period, which is our core objective. It's important to remember that the website is a means to an end, not an end in itself. Consideration was given to linking up with the federal site or to using another state's technology, but clearly the 5 to 8 month process of doing so would have jeopardized enrollment during our current enrollment period, and thousands of Oregonians would not have had the opportunity to enroll in health plans. Therefore, using those parts of the technology that did work, we created a hybrid process to enroll Oregonians. And I'm very proud to say that despite the ongoing technical challenges as today, we have enrolled 157,400 people through the exchange. 49,500 have gone into commercial plans. And along with our fast-track enrollment process, it means that we have enrolled 287,000 people in quality health plans since January 1st. Our enrollment figures stand out even among states with fully functioning health insurance exchanges. And the value of our success in this regard should not be overlooked, even as we work to fix what went wrong. Now, to address the findings of the first data report, as well as the issues surrounding the technology itself and the work of our primary website developer, I'm taking a number of steps to put Cover Oregon on a path to deliver a promise to Oregonians on which I have been working for 25 years: access for all Oregonians to quality and affordable health care. My goal and my commitment is that every Oregonian who needs health insurance coverage can enroll either through the exchange or directly with a health plan. I am also committed to ensuring that the problems we have experienced here do not happen again. At the same time, and notwithstanding the technical challenges that we are facing, we must not act in a way that disrupts the enrollment process during the balance of this open enrollment period. Enrolling Oregonians in affordable, quality health insurance has been and continues to be one of our top priorities. Towards that end, I have taken the following steps. I have signed into law 3 bills passed in the recent session that significantly increase accountability, oversight, and transparency for state technology projects, strengthen oversight at Cover Oregon, and seek additional assistance for those who have had difficulty enrolling in health plans. House Bills 4122, 4154, and Senate Bill 1582 provide significant new safeguards, and I applaud the legislature, Republicans and Democrats alike, for finding meaningful solutions that move us forward for the benefit of all Oregonians. Earlier this year, I directed the Department of Administrative Services to create an inventory of all information technology projects currently underway in the executive branch. State Chief Information Officer Alex Pettit has outlined steps to evaluate the status of each of these projects in the development process, to track them for incremental delivery, and to analyze which projects may be running into issues that warrant additional work. With this initial inventory completed, we now turn our focus to analyzing where each project is in its development and working with agencies to identify issues that may need further review. This inventory is the first step to track IT-related activities and interests in a statewide portfolio. That portfolio will serve as an important tool to improve communication, coordination, and accountability for IT projects across all state agencies. I have written to Senators Ron Wyden and Jeff Merkley, requesting that the review by the Government Accounting Agency include a thorough appraisal of the quality of the technical work done by our vendors to develop websites, as well as representations made about its readiness to be moved to the public. I have also requested that the GAO review and include an appraisal of the inconsistent risk status ratings revealed in the first data report. I have met with Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum, and she will be forwarding the first data report along with other material to her staff, as well as to our outside legal counsel, to consider the full range of legal avenues and options to protect the public's investment to date and evaluate the work performance of Oracle and other technology vendors who are under contract to the state of Oregon. I have activated a team of information technology experts to advise Cover Oregon on its options going forward. This team includes the CIOs from Legacy Health, Pacific Source, Kaiser Permanente, Providence, Moda, Bridgespan Regents, and Oregon's own CIO. In light of the first data report, Dr. Bruce Goldberg has submitted and I have accepted his resignation as Director of the Oregon Health Authority. I will ask him to continue in his role as Acting Director of Cover Oregon until a new Executive Director is hired. I have spoken with members of the Cover Oregon Board, and I've asked them to take the following steps. First, I have asked the board to change the top technology and operational leadership at Cover Oregon, including the Chief Information Officer and the Chief Operating Officer, and to undertake a full assessment of the current structure and staffing model. We are facing a serious set of critical decisions concerning options moving forward following the open enrollment period. These decisions must be made soon, and they must be the right decision. I have asked the board to confirm that Dr. George Brown, who is the CEO of Legacy Health and a member of the Cover Oregon Board, is overseeing a search project, an effort to find and secure a new executive director for Cover Oregon. It's my hope that we will have someone selected by the end of April who can lead the way and make the changes necessary to deliver a fully functional website. Third, upon completion of the current open enrollment period, I have requested a full review of the Cover Oregon Board structure and governance policies to ensure a more effective communication and decision-making framework. Finally, 2 days ago, I spoke with Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius about other strategies that will help get more Oregonians enrolled in coverage. We are looking at all options, and I expect to have an announcement as early as next week. Oregonians deserve more from their state health insurance exchange. We have made mistakes, and we will learn from them, because the need for access to quality and affordable health care remains one of our top priorities. I am confident that the actions I have taken and the actions that I am taking today, along with the continued dedication and hard work of thousands of Oregonians who are engaged in changing the healthcare delivery system here in this state, that we will succeed. From healthcare providers to hospital administrators, to Democratic and Republican lawmakers, agents and community partners, to small businesses, and to dedicated state employees who are helping other Oregonians each and every day, we are moving forward to make this project work. And we will succeed. We will succeed in improving the quality of life of Oregonians by better health, better health care, and at a lower cost. I'm not saying that this is going to be easy. I'm not saying that we won't face additional challenges in the future. But what I am saying is that Oregon will continue to be a place where we take on our problems head on and that we solve them together. I'd be happy to answer questions.
Governor, why do you refuse to stand in front of the people who elected you and have an honest conversation about Cover Oregon at K2's town hall tonight?
Well, I'm standing before the representatives of the press who speak directly to the people who I am accountable for and having a conversation with you.
We have questions from viewers every day. People want to talk to you directly, the people who elected you.
Feel free to ask them.
Governor, did Bruce resign on his own, or was he encouraged to?
Bruce offered his resignation. I accepted it. I think it was the right decision.
How can the taxpayers trust the results of this review when your role wasn't investigated?
Well, the taxpayers should hold me accountable for obviously the problems at Cover Oregon. I've made no bones about the fact that this was on my watch and the buck stops here. But also I think they should be judged by the 287,000 people we've enrolled in health insurance coverage, and whether or not the steps we've taken today actually move us towards a better, more functional system.
Governor, earlier on you had suggested that maybe you had been lied to. Do you still feel like that now after First Data's report?
I have never said I've been lied to. I believe the problem here was a very bad flow of information. Bad information and bad news needs to flow up quicker than any other kind of news. It's true here, it's true in the emergency room. If you have a patient whose blood pressure is crating and their pulse goes up, you need to know about it right now so you can fix the problem. That flow of information did not happen in this case.
Are you saying your office never got the Maximus reports?
We absolutely got the Maximus reports. We reviewed the Maximus reports, and we were assured by the leadership at Cover Oregon and the Oregon Health Authority that we were still on track for launch. And that conversation actually was made to, I think, the Legislative Committee in mid-September.
How do you explain that disconnect then? If you say it's not a lie, but there's one set of facts that turned out to be true, and then somebody else is saying, oh, those facts aren't true. Was it deliberate deception? Was it incompetence?
Well, I would say it was a combination of very, very poor management. It was the combination of a set of, there were something like 27 different project management plans that were overlapping. There wasn't a single point of accountability. There wasn't a single functional governance structure, so a lot of it was the structure, and in that structure, individuals made very, very poor decisions.
Governor, have you reached out to Oracle, and what are your plans in terms of working with them from here on?
Well, we made a decision in late March to transition away from Oracle, and as I said, we were very disappointed with the quality of their work and the product that they've given us. We are pursuing, or we are prepared to pursue whatever legal means might be necessary, and that is now in the Attorney General's court. I've spoken with the Attorney General and her Chief Deputy, and we'll continue to review what our legal options might be.
What do you think Carolyn Lawson's scapegoat lawsuit will turn up that this First Data report didn't?
I have no idea, but we'll have to just see what happens when it works its way through the courts.
What about the Government Accountability Office report investigation?
We're looking forward to that.
When you say the full range of legal options, could that possibly include criminal charges in your mind?
You know, I'm not in a position to speak to that. There are obviously a number of steps that the state could take. Breach of contract, False Claims Act. Those are really issues that are in the jurisdiction of the Attorney General, and we'll be taking our counsel and advice from her.
Can you take us through the thinking by the state in holding back 25.5 as opposed and paying 43 plus? I mean, how did you come to that conclusion that obviously you're not happy, but you, out of the 60 million they demanded, the state did pony up most of it. So how did that happen?
Well, that's a fair question, and essentially the decision was based on our concern about continuing to be able to enroll Oregonians through the hybrid process that we've set up. The Oracle people had suggested that if we didn't make payments, they would walk, essentially. We did not, at that point, own the code, if you will, and so a decision was made to obviously transition away from Oracle, make a payment to them to ensure that the website continued to operate through the open enrollment period. But we made very, very clear in consultation with our outside counsel and with the Attorney General's office that we did not lose any of our legal rights or options going forward.
Do you own the code now?
I believe we do. We're in the process of transferring it over, yes.
Why did it take $228,000 of taxpayer money to do this first data report when the Maximus reports already revealed a lot of this?
Well, the Maximus reports reveal a series of risk statuses, but they didn't address why that information, for example, didn't get from LFO to the Legislative Oversight Committee. It didn't address why the flow of information did not reach the feds, the Cover Oregon Board, my office, or the legislature. It didn't address the complexities of and obstacles of why we could have two different sets of interpretations of that, and I think the first data report is very thorough and paints a very sober picture of both the management and technology challenges that led to the problems with this rollout.
Cover Oregon had to continue to submit progress reports to the feds to keep getting grant money. It's alleged that there was a fake website that was developed to let the feds think that the website was farther along developed than it was. Have you seen that fake website? Can you comment on that?
I have no knowledge of a fake website.
Governor, when we met at the editorial board with Congressman Schrader this week, he just talked about that he'd been talking with the CEO of Oracle. Have you been talking with the CEO of Oracle about this? I mean,
My
is
last,
it getting up to your level?
I have spoken on several occasions with the CEO of Oracle, Safra Katz. My last conversation with Ms. Katz was in the meeting with her lawyers and our lawyers about how we proceed. I have not heard from her since then.
How do you expect Secretary Sebelius to be able to help you moving forward?
Well, there's a variety of options that could be considered. One would be an extension of the enrollment period. One would be the question of whether or not people who, because of the challenges we've had with our technology, were unable to enroll by the March 31st deadline would be relieved of the tax penalty. So there's a range of those options. I met with the Secretary at the National Governors Association meeting and then spoke with her again on Tuesday. And again, all of those options are on the table. We're not the only state that's looking at these, and we believe we'll have an announcement on what those options might be and what Oregon might expect as early as next week.
Does that include going to the federal exchange?
That is obviously a possibility. So we could not do it between now and the open enrollment period.
Right. But you're still considering that.
So basically, the options that we're looking at are one of the reasons that we've brought in this external technology team, and why I'm recommending some changes at the leadership in Cover Oregon, is we have to make the decision on how much of this technology we want to save and use, whether or not we can still get it up, and that's still an outstanding question, whether we want to go to the federal exchange, whether we want to and maintain control of our market, whether we want to look at some other state technology. So there's a range of options, and there's a certain degree of urgency about making that decision because it takes 5 to 6 months to make that happen. So all those are on the table, and the purpose of the tech team is to help give us narrow those options down so that we can make a decision in the very near future.
So it remains a possibility that all the work from Oracle could be scrapped.
It is a possibility. But I would say that there are parts, as I said, of that technology that has allowed 157,000 people to get enrolled. And as I said earlier, we have retained all of our legal options to seek to recover resources from Oracle if we deem that there's a justification for that.
Governor, your summary of the first data report that you gave them just now pointed to issues that are fairly common in large corporate or government IT projects. So there's a vast history of that happening before Oregon embarked on this. Why were those processes not put in place by you and the legislature to stop these things from happening?
Well, that's, I think, again, a very fair question. These kinds of technology problems occur not just in the public sector, they occur in the private sector as well. The main difference is that in the public sector, they occur very, very publicly. As it turns out, neither myself or most of the legislature builds websites. And so, we have to rely on other people to provide us with that information. And if you look at the first data report, and the reason it's sobering is clearly this was sort of a perfect storm in many ways. We had a big IT project, actually a very inspirational, but as it turns out, unrealistic project that started out in DHS and then was going to interface with the health insurance exchange. Then the legislature took action to essentially free OHA up from a DS overview to try to make it more flexible. You shifted the project from one agency to another agency, which happened to be a public corporation. I think in hindsight, we should have had those in place, but I don't think any of us knew the scope of the problem, clearly. And again, the buck stops here, and I assume responsibility for that. I think the first data report has given us a very, very clear picture of where those dysfunctions occurred. I think there are valuable lessons there that can be learned, and we're taking steps very aggressively to make sure that this doesn't happen again, not just with Cover Oregon, but with any state IT project of which we are clearly going to have many into the future.
Governor, you've said that you and your office were misled throughout all of this. Who do you believe misled you?
I don't believe that we were misled. I think we were given information that led us to believe that this website was going to be launched on time. And I don't think there's an individual. I think it is a series of people who did make bad management decisions, but they made those bad management decisions in the context of a structure that lacked, as I said, a clear point of accountability, that lacked a coherent, functional set of governance and communication strategies. And it was a real mess. And as a result of that, the flow of information that received by my office, by the legislature, by the Board of Cover Oregon, expressed the belief that up until the very end that the website would in fact be launched on time.
Governor, you said the AG's office is looking at an array of options here. Beyond civil litigation, what remedy is there for the state to recover any losses on investment?
Well, I think that's a question you should probably address to the AG's office. There are tools, as I mentioned. Probably the False Claims Act is the most significant one that has been used in the past. But I want to make it clear that I'm not suggesting that we are going to pursue those actions. This is a decision that the Attorney General will make. But I spoke to her yesterday. We've met several times, and she is going to review the first data report. She's going to review the CMS report on technology, and we'll take whatever, and we'll recommend whatever actions are necessary.
Governor, why should the people of this state trust that you're doing everything you can now to fix things and make sure that this never happens again, given what led up to all of this?
Well, I guess ultimately that will be up to the voters in November. But I think the question is whether or not we are able to complete this enrollment period smoothly. As I said, 287,000 people's lives have changed since January, which is not anything that I'm going to run away from or be ashamed about. I'm very proud of that, and I'm proud of all the people who made that happen. The question is whether or not we can then pivot, rescope the project, make the appropriate decisions so that we have a fully functioning website in November.
Did you or anybody in your office direct anybody at Cover Oregon to enroll yourself or state employees before other people?
No.
What kind of access did First Data have to Oracle? I heard that there was only one person allowed.
Yeah, they requested 6 interviews with 6 individuals who were, as I understand it, working on the project. Oracle denied that request and sent, I think it's their chief corporate architect, I think his name is Scrivens. So he's the one that spoke for Oracle, but I think there were 8 people. They couldn't get, those were 6. I think there was a retired, I have to check this, I think it's in the report, a retired state employee was out of the state, and there was, I think, someone from Point B.
Do you know how much relevance that Oracle person had to this specific project? I mean, if they weren't the 6 people that First Data asked for, I'm just kind of curious, like, how much information you got from Oracle through that process.
Well, I mean, my understanding is that the individual they interviewed was very high in sort of the corporate IT world, but I do not believe he was doing the day-to-day work, and so I think we probably did not get some information that would have been useful.
Is Dr. Goldberg going to stay on at OHA in any capacity?
No, he will be leaving. Nick, were you trying to get a question in there?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could talk about, on a personal level, you said in the past you feel like you were not sufficiently engaged in the exchange. Obviously, you have a lot of different responsibilities. Can you talk about, as a person trying to do your job, like when you look back at your own role, do you wish you had been more active? Because this report obviously gets some structure, all this stuff. I'd like to hear from you as a person.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure it's accurate to say I wasn't engaged. We were doing a whole host of things over the year and a half before we actually set up the website that were related to the exchange, but not specifically the website. We were looking at the capacity of our CCOs to absorb the ACA population. We were looking at insurance rates and how the insurance market was structured. We went through that whole rate review process, determining which plans were going to be actually on the exchange. We were concerned about how you enroll young, healthy people. We were concerned about what was going to be on the exchange, individuals, small businesses, et cetera. I was aware of the risks. I was reviewed. I read some of the Maximus reports. I reviewed some of them. I was at a meeting, I believe, in December of 2012 where they explained the red, yellow, green flags to me and assured me that this were probably going to be red most of the time because of the high-risk nature of the project. We met regularly. So, I obviously wish none of this had happened, and in retrospect, I can see some ways that it might have been avoided.
So when they assured you that it was normal for it to be red up until the end, who was they? Was that
this was the OHA and the Cover Oregon team, the Cover Oregon team would take the Maximus reports and would respond to them and explain, and obviously if you look at the first data report, they didn't actually address all of the, so I guess if there's one thing that would have been very, very useful for all of us would have been to look at the Maximus reports sequentially rather than individually, because it's very clear when you look back on it that there were some of the problems that Cover Oregon said had been addressed that appeared again in subsequent Maximus reports. So that's clearly one area where looking at the individual reports was not a good choice. It would have been better to kind of try to look at these things sequentially over time.
And no one on the team caught that?
No one on the team caught that.
Governor, do you believe somebody committed a crime here?
There's no evidence that anyone committed a crime. Obviously, there were some discrepancies in the, particularly in the risk status reporting in this, which we have referred to the GAO and hope that they look at that. Obviously, if anything turns up that suggests that there was criminal activity, we'll certainly take steps to address that.
On time for one more, if there's someone else who wants to get in a question before the rest go.
What kind of search will you do to replace Dr. Goldberg as the authority?
So Dr. George Brown has been heading up the search. I think they have gone through 60.
That's for Rocky King, but for Dr. Goldberg.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Tina Edlund, who is the acting director, will probably stay in that position. She's doing a very good job.
Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.